Today, we are going to discuss about database management systems. Data. Data is information or set of values that has been gathered and translated for some purpose, usually analysis. It can be any character, including text, numbers, pictures, sound, and video suitable for use with a computer. Database. A database is a collection of information that is organized so that it can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. File processing system. A file processing system is a collection of data, files, and records. In initial days, these records were stored in the form of files. Each field of information separated by space, tab, comma, semicolon, or any other symbol. Before DBMS were introduced, organizations usually stored information in such systems. Disadvantages of file processing system: data redundancy, data inconsistency, difficulty in accessing data, data isolation, integrity problems, anonymity problems, concurrent access anomalies, security problems. And in order to overcome these problems, database management system is being developed. And uh, there are several applications, several database applications. Example, banking, airlines, universities, sales, online retailers, manufacturing, human resources, and so on. Elements of database: tables, data types, constraints, indexes, procedures, and views, or the elements of the database. And the databases can be classified according to the types of the content and organizational approach. Example, bibliographic, full text, numeric, and multimedia. There are different types of databases. Example, centralized database and distributed database. And there are different types of databases: object-oriented programming database, operational database, end-user database, commercial database, and personal database. And there are different DBMS softwares. Example, MySQL database, Oracle database, Rubrik, Microsoft SQL database, FileMaker. Data models. Data models define how data is connected to each other and how they are processed and stored inside the system. The data models can be classified into 4 different categories: relational model, entity relationship model, object-based data model, semi-structured data model. Relational database. All data must be stored in tables called relations with rows and columns. Relations can be normalized. Relation is maintained by storing a common field. An entity relationship model is a graphical representation of entities and their relationships to each other. Object-based data model, method of representing the real-world objects. It considers each entity in the world as objects and isolates it from each other. Semi-structured data model. XML language is widely used to represent semi-structured data. Data abstraction. The process of hiding irrelevant details from users is called data abstraction. There are 3 levels of data abstraction: is view level, logical level, and physical level. In view level, the user interacts with the system with the help of GUI and enter the details of the screen. They are not aware of how data is stored and what data is stored. Logical level. This is the middle level of 3 level of data abstraction architecture. It describes what data is stored in the database. At the logical level, these records can be described as fields and attributes along with their data types. The programmers generally work at this level because they are aware of such things about database systems. Physical level. This is the lowest level of abstraction. It describes how data is actually stored in database. These records can be described as blocks of storage. There is bytes, gigabytes, terabytes, etc. in memory. DBMS architecture. There are 2 different 2-tier architecture and 3-tier architecture. In 2-tier architecture, DBMS architecture includes an application layer between the user and the DBMS, which is responsible to communicate the user's request to the DBMS and then send the response to the user from the DBMS. An application interface known as ODBC provides an API that allows client-side program to call the DBMS. In 3-tier DBMS architecture, the client machine acts as a front-end application and does not contain any direct database calls. Instead, the client communicates with an application server, usually through a forms interface. Thank you.